Everybody, and welcome to this week's weekly coach call. I hope you're well. And at the time of recording, we're just starting into a new month, 2nd September 2024. Hard to believe. And, it's actually hard to believe there's only a few months left in the year. It's really hard to believe we're at this stage already. But this is why, if you're not really on it, make sure you give yourself a bit of a kick in the ass now and to really focus on finishing strong. I always speak about starting strong, finishing strong, but especially with the year, depending how your year has been. If it's been amazing, you've really kicked ass and you've been super consistent, that's brilliant. Just keep that going. Even try to see if you can get into another gear, up another gear, like for the rest of the year. Because the reality is it's like 3.5 months left. Because once you kind of get midway through December, that's kind of it really, because people start to wind down for Christmas, understandably. And that's perfect. I'm a fan of that. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's like in your head of 3.5 months is what you've left, and you want to make sure it's said finish strong. If it's a case, as I said, you've been great, brilliant, keep going up another gear if possible. If you are on, if you're unsatisfied and happy with what you've done so far this year and you feel you should have done more, it should be your incentive to, again, go up a gear as well, to really push on and make the most and again to finish strong. So, it depends on where you're at. Just make the best of it. The video I put up earlier on was about that actually, and like having a purpose and what are you doing? And, don't just aimlessly go through life. It's too easy to do that. Remember, like I'm always saying, humans are designed to pick the easiest option. The easier option is not to take action, not to make decisions, not to move forward, and instead to just be in the blame mentality or excuse mentality. So, whenever you find yourself in that, and this is why it's important to be very honest with yourself all the time and to, look yourself in the mirror regularly and ask yourself important questions, to do that on a regular basis, because call yourself out in things if you're not doing what you should be doing. And it's very important to be aware, self-aware yourself from that perspective. Okay. So as I said, as we go into this new week, one thing, start of a new month, it's another thing, and it's the last few months of the year. So there's three big incentives there, besides the fact of just having an incentive to do it anyway. Okay. Because that should be there anyway. It's your life. You're writing the script. You want to make sure, again, it's the best script it can be. To make sure, again, you're pushing on with things from that perspective. Hope you did your review, reflection, and planning session yesterday. And if you haven't done it yet, make sure you do it before you go to sleep tonight or at the latest tomorrow. And don't let it get to Tuesday or beyond Tuesday for sure, okay? So make sure, again, you're doing that. Make it, again, a non-negotiable. Like we constantly speak in non-negotiables around things like work on your mindset and mindfulness, your exercise, your nutrition, your sleep, all these different areas. Again, reflection, review, plan sessions, the same thing. Make it a non-negotiable. You need to, again, embed these things, okay? Like every positive habit you bring into your life, it starts off by just trying to be a positive habit. And as time goes on and you get better at it and more consistent, turn it into a complete non-negotiable where it's just happening and that's it, no matter what. Okay? So I'm just going to go through a couple of questions were sent in to me. So let me see. Let's start on first one here. First one I'm being asked here is, so do you agree with taking vitamin D supplements in cloudy, rainy season? Or is it just like a silly question? Is vitamin D in food or just sunshine? So it wouldn't be, what I'd say to start with that, it wouldn't be I'd agree or disagree. I think there's no harm, but there's in certain situations there'd be no need. So it's kind of like both, okay? Now, why I say that is that if it's sunny, so say when the weather's really nice and the sun's out and it's great, it's like, summer type weather, or again, it could be winter and the sun's out, clear skies. We see the sun and we think, great, vitamin D, we're getting vitamin D from the sun. But the thing is, there's rays coming through even if it's super cloudy. So, just where even like it could be a summer and it's quite warm, but it's really, really dull. So people thinking, there's no way I can get burnt in that. And they might go out for hours and hours, having not been outside much for weeks or months even, and then they get burnt. Or how the hell can get burnt? There's no sun. But the rays are coming through all the time. So you can get, it's more about being outside. So I would say it's more down to how much you're outside. Like I live in Ireland, obviously, still at the moment anyway. Like I was saying before we went live, it could rain here for 9 months of the year, like genuinely raining most days and be definitely very dull and cold and all that kind of thing. but I spend as much time as I can outside between walking dogs, being outside myself, going for walks, just literally being outside. And most of the time I'll wear shorts, doesn't matter what the weather's like. I'll try to endure wearing a t-shirt, even if it's cold. It's too cold, obviously, I throw on a jumper, I'm not stupid. But the reason is to let as much of my skin get exposed to like that, the rays that are coming through. So again, I'm constantly getting vitamin D, okay? Like I would have had blood tests taken every 3, 4 months over the last year, and my vitamin D levels are perfect, like they're high. Now that kind of goes like the person taking them was kind of shocked, couldn't understand how it is because nearly the natural thing is, oh, your vitamin D levels are low, you need to go on this supplement or whatever. That's the typical process in these kind of things. Whereas mine was not like that. Mine was quite high. But again, it was no surprise to me. And especially when I saw the result, because again, I'm outside not a lot of the time, but a good lot of time, or as much as I possibly can. But more than that, I'm exposing my skin as much as I can. Okay, hope that makes sense. Like I said, the rays are coming through whether it's sunny or not. Obviously, if it's sunny, no clouds in the sky, there's more coming through, but there's always rays coming through. So the problem with the modern lifestyle and why there's such kind of talk, I suppose, around vitamin D is that, people's levels are very low, but sure, look at the modern lifestyle. It's sitting down all the time and sitting inside all the time. So most work is inside now, inside in offices. Most people are working on computers or laptops or phones. Transport, people are typically driving. Like very few people cycle or walk, depend most places anyway, unless you live somewhere like Amsterdam, where unbelievable amount of people cycle. Um, or people take public transport, buses and trains and whatever. So people are not outside that much. And this is why I always encourage people to get outside as much as you possibly can. It's like if you got a lunch break, get outside. If you work from home, take breaks every hour, hour and a half, and just even go outside the garden or out the front and just walk around for a few minutes or just be outside for a few minutes. So get as much exposure as you can. So what I would say with the vitamin D supplement is it's something that does no harm to take. If you decide to take it, it's not a bad thing. It's like a safety net is what I'd say to use it as. If it's a case of you look, I'm never ever outside, it's rare and it's always cloudy, there's never sun, so there's never strong vitamin D. You probably might need it then, despite your best efforts. But see it more, it's a safety blanket. Like I personally don't take them. I have in the past, years and years ago, I used to take them, but it was nearly just, it's like with a lot of supplements, I just take them because, you're supposed to kind of take them. But then when I started testing myself and obviously improving my lifestyle, my nutrition, all that kind of stuff, I didn't need it. Like my B3, like or B12, sorry. Like being vegan, supposedly you have to take B12 supplements. So I said, don't believe this. And my B12 is perfect. Like it's quite high again, even, so again, it depends on various factors. So and there will be some in food as well, because at the end of the day, what are plants especially doing? They're digesting the sunlight. That's how they're growing. So they're taking that in. So they're going to naturally have some vitamin D in them as well. You're getting vitamin D from the rays, from the sky, from the sun, where it's cloudier or clear, and you're getting some from the food as well. And so if you want to take a vitamin D supplement, it's not something I'd be totally opposed to. I said, nearly more depends on your lifestyle. And as well, if you felt you were deficient, or like, let's say your skin on it was seeming extremely pale, you're lacking something, like that could be a sign. Or if you got blood tests and then it shows your vitamin D levels are really low, you definitely should take it then, because it is important to have good vitamin D levels. Okay. So I hope that answers that question. Okay. Next one is, this is another different angle. So is spending time with people who trigger you a lot bad for your health? And how to not let them like that trigger you if you do have to spend time with them. So reading a lot about it but can't master it. Okay. It's another one where I'd say it's not definitely a bad thing to be with them. It's not definitely a good thing to be with them. Okay. What I would say is it depends on you as a person. Again, everyone's on different journeys. Some people are at a point where they still get triggered a bit, but they've really developed a lot of mental strength and resilience around people who do cause triggers in them. So they're way better than they would have been before. Other people are newer in that kind of journey where they were always triggered before. Now they're aware that actually, yeah, that's what's happening. And they're in the process of trying to get more control of their emotional state and not be triggered as much. So if you find you very, very much find it near impossible to, not be triggered, then it's a case of to not be with those people or limit it as much as possible. If you find that, you're reasonably mentally strong, they trigger you sometimes they don't. Like you can be there and sitting there where conversations a year ago would have triggered you like mad and driven you mad in emotional state. Everything would have gone crazy. But you're now having times when you're sitting there, it's not bothering you at all. You're kind of letting it just go over your head and you're fine. That's showing you're having a bit of resilience that way. So it'd be a case of depending on you as an individual. I would say it's like to test it. Like the important thing is working on you, to working on your emotional state, how to control it. If it gets too high, bring it down. If it gets too low, bring it up. Again, around certain people, how you feel. If you know how certain people make you feel, like you're going into that prepared, you know what's going to happen. You know the types of conversations they have. You know why they typically trigger you. And like I say about a lot of triggers, whether it be food or people or whatever, the thing is be aware of the trigger first. That's the first step. And the second step then is to kind of decide, okay, how am I going to counteract this the next time? Now, with people, it can be, okay, I'm not going near that person ever again, or not for a year or a month or a week or whatever. Or it's a case of, okay, look, I know what they say triggers me, whatever the intentions may be about it, whether it's nearly intentional or just going to happen, or it's just the way their mentality is. Next time, I'm just not going to even listen. I'm not going to pay attention. Or if I feel myself getting triggered, I'm going to take some deep breaths. So, it just kind of depends on you. I always encourage people to push themselves. I would encourage people to push themselves to be around some people who trigger them. So it's like a test. Like, how are you getting on? Like, even just to see your progress. Are you still getting triggered as much, or are you getting triggered less? So I would say to throw yourself into it sometimes. But if you find that you're still constantly getting triggered, then for a period of time, maybe take yourself away. Okay, hope that kind of makes sense. So, like in terms of being bad for your health, if you're being triggered, yeah, because it's going to be stressing you out. It's releasing cortisol. It's again messing up your emotions. All that's going to release hormones as well. It makes you feel like crap, or angry or frustrated, whatever the reaction is that they're causing. And the hardest part is that when they're gone, so let's say if they're in your place or you're in their place or you're meeting in a neutral kind of venue at a function or something, or it's someone at work you're with for 8 hours a day, for instance. It's a case of, you trying to, you can get away from that and just keep yourself as calm as you can, keep yourself in your own head, keep yourself aligned with your own thoughts and kind of just see that's who they are, that's the kind of person they are, and that's their beliefs and they ain't going to ever change it. That's their energies, that's their emotions, that's just how they are. So it kind of depends on that. I'm just saying the second part of your bad for, oh yeah, in terms of like I was saying that's what I was saying, bad for your health. So there is obviously health implications if that was ongoing, and then stress and so on. So this way to kind of make a decision. If someone's really triggering you and really stressing you out a lot, you're best to eliminate them for a while or forever if that's possible. Remember, I'm always saying do a regular audit of your circle. So if there's people in it who are always, they take you down. If you go and meet them in an hour and you're even just thinking about it, it's taking you down, making you feel like crap. That's going to not serve any purpose, no benefit to you. It's no point feeling terrible like that. So you just need to eliminate them. And if they add nothing to your life, now where it gets a little trickier is let's say if it's family. But even with family, sometimes you still have to do it, even something temporarily. You have a client at the moment and I've advised them they have to just eliminate their family for a little period of time. Not forever, but a period of time. Because you just have to do that. I had to do that sometimes in my life too. It's not easy to do, but if they're on totally different wavelengths and different mentality and different energy and everything like that, like it's not going to serve any benefit to you whatsoever being in their company. Remember, you want people in your life who add to your life, not take from your life. Okay. And that's why I say about auditing your circle on a regular basis. Like it's so crucial. One of the most important things that anyone can do, and you need to do it on a regular basis. So, in terms of with that, so bad for your health, yes, but it's this again the challenge to keep working on it. How to not let them do it if you do have to spend time with them. Again, remember you own your reaction. I suppose that's the most important thing in terms of how do you deal with it. You own the reaction. So if you are being triggered, that's on you versus seeing it as being on them. Instead of blaming them, and look at yourself and go, look, I'm allowing myself to be triggered. Now, no matter they might be being horrific, they might be saying stuff on purpose that they know will trigger you from the past. but they cannot force you to react in a negative way. They cannot force you to feel like crap. You're doing that to yourself. So I suppose having ownership of that is the key in terms of how to deal with it if you do have to get around people like that. So flip it onto you as opposed to looking at them. Okay. Hope that kind of makes sense. Now, it's not easy. Dealing with people is not easy. And this type of stuff is not easy, but it's one of the most important things you do to learn to manage your emotional state. Like, it's so important. You got your self-love, really key. The most important thing of all, to truly love yourself, accept yourself, all that side of things. Not giving a shit what other people think of you, what you do, your beliefs, all that kind of stuff, your life, everything. Very important. And then like this, not allowing other people to trigger you, which kind of ties into the second one, because again, that's partly sometimes why we get triggers, because we care too much what they think. But also, again, some people, just their personalities, their mindsets, the conversations they have, the stuff that they spend their time and energy on, talk about, could be news stuff, political stuff, all that. You have no interest in. It's just all, negative news media. It's not going to help you. Again, you can control your reaction. It's just in your head, you could hear them just going blah, 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 blah. You're not even hearing what they're saying, not really even paying attention. Now, that's easy, especially in a situation where there's other people. Now, it's a direct conversation. That's a different story. Now, one thing to do there as well is, let's say someone repeatedly makes you feel like crap when you're in their company, but it's like on a one-to-one basis. If they go certain angles, certain conversations or topics that you don't want to talk about, tell them. Just say, look, I'm not interested to talk about that. And then just change the subject yourself. They again keep going back to the same stuff you're not interested in that triggers you. And it's again where you should look at, right, eliminate them, limit the exposure to them, or what. But if you don't want to talk about a certain topic on a one-to-one basis, don't. What's the word? Like, entertain them. That might be the word even. Like, don't entertain them. Like, don't enable them. Is the word actually. Don't enable their misery. That's the only way we could call it. Okay. So as I said, in terms of not letting them be bad for you and affect your health and all, again, just take it as being on you. Remember, take responsibility for everything. You to control your reactions. But as I said, it's not easy sometimes. So decide what you need to do. No exposure to them, limited exposure, or you're going to deal with being with them, and you're going to get stronger and stronger with it. So that's that. I hope that makes sense. Again, let me know if it does or it doesn't, or if you've got any extra questions on it. I'll just see, Heidi, you put a question here. Does that include other supplements like spirulina, lion's mane, mushroom turmeric? No. So they'd be different, Heidi. So if you take vitamin D, the problem with supplements is they're synthetic. In terms of vitamin D, vitamin B3, magnesium, all these different things that they'll sell in the bar at health food stores, pharmacies, and so on. So they're all synthetic, okay? So when the people recommend supplements to you, like doctors, whoever, they're recommending synthetic supplements to replace isolated vitamins. And one thing is, you can't isolate vitamins. It's like an orange. An orange has a lot of stuff. It's known for vitamin C, but it has tons of different vitamins and minerals in it. It's a unit for a reason, okay? So by eating, let's say, an orange, you're getting a lot of different vitamins and minerals, where vitamin C is what's highlighted. It's probably is maybe a higher quantity of vitamin C in an orange than the other nutrients, but there's other nutrients in it. You can't just pick out one and isolate it. So when you isolate vitamins or minerals, that makes them very ineffective anyway. Okay. So it's a whole compound. That's why, again, eating whole food is the beneficial thing to do. Okay. So that's the one negative. The other one then is they're all typically synthetic. So again, synthetic means just basically like it's trying to recreate food with chemicals. So the body isn't designed to break these things down. So it doesn't really break them down. If it says you get, I don't know what numbers, let's say 300 IUs or whatever the hell, you might get 50 really, and the rest you're urinating out or excreting out. So it's like expensive urine. Same goes like for protein shakes and all. So what it says you're getting, you're never getting, because it can't, because it's synthetic. And then it creates more toxins inside your body because, again, it's chemicals. It's not natural substances. Okay. And that's why, like Percy has said, I would have spent loads of supplements before, but the more I looked at supplements and the more I focused more on creating a whole food nutrition plan, eating loads of real food with a primary focus on fruits and veg, which, as I'm always stressing, is a key foundation, the less and less I took supplements. And I haven't taken supplements now of any kind. God, I'd say it could be nearly 15 years now. Could be 15 years. be longer. I mean, no supplements, zero. Now, when you take things like spirulina, lion's mane, mushroom turmeric, wheatgrass, maca, all those kind of things, cacao, powders that are powdered whole food, that's fine. That's different. That's whole food. Now, not obviously, it's not exactly as it was in its original form. There's an element of processing after going into it. But again, that would just mean it's not as effective or as beneficial as it was in its original form. But it's still going to be beneficial because it is actual food. That's why I always say to people, same with like if you want to take protein shakes, meal replacements, that kind of stuff, make sure it's real food. It's powdered real food. It's not like whey. It's not like all the other chemicals that you see. If you pick up most meal replacements or most supplements, look at ingredients. It's a ton of words you won't recognize, apart from probably whey protein. That's the only word you recognize. The rest of them are just big, mad 20, 30 letter words, which is just chemicals and fillers and artificial sweeteners. Because it has to taste nice and no one's going to eat it. If it was just whey protein, that was it, it'd be disgusting. They have to add artificial sweeteners. That's why there's a whole thing with aspartame 25 years ago when they first came out. And then over years then people became more aware how bad aspartame was. Then it supposedly got banned. It disappeared for a while supposedly, but now it's more and more, it's on products. But all it is to change the name. They just changed the bloody name. This is where food industry and supplement industries are so bloody corrupt. They just changed the name. So it was just not called aspartame, it's called something else. It was still in the product. Now I'm seeing aspartame written down again. It's supposedly banned for about 20 years. So, that's why, again, read food labels is so important. So, again, just on the supplement thing, moving whole foods as much as you can. Go back to the vitamin D, like I was saying. There isn't going to be like a whole food vitamin D supplement. But again, said use as a safety net. As I said, it'll be synthetic. It'll have element of toxicity in you because it's synthetic and chemicals. But again, there's no harm in a safety net. I wouldn't be saying never ever take vitamin D tablets. If you want to have that safety net, take it, no harm. Even if it's only for the 4 months or so of the winter months. If you want to take a safety net in the worst times, especially if you know you're going to be inside nearly all the time or the majority, take it in as a safety net. All right. So that'd be that one. Now, next one. Is it better to exercise for 30 minutes every day or 1 hour every other day? Okay, so, or is it the same? Is every day too much, or is working out every day too much? Does all depend on the person, the job they do? Okay. So again, it's another question. Another answer will be it kind of depends on situation. It's not a right or a wrong answer. Okay. So if someone does say 30 minutes every day, what's good about doing something every day is, let's say, just from a health perspective to start with. From a health perspective, the more active you are, the better. So doing some form of activity every day, brilliant. If even you did 30 minutes a day of moving, going for a walk, a workout, brilliant. So frequency is important from your health perspective. Okay. So I would highly encourage people to be active in that way. That's why I always simply speak about, you've got your workouts, then you got your just general activity or recreation. Because it's like if people play tennis or play sports, I don't count that as a workout. That's just recreation. If you go for walks, walk your dog, it's all great. It's all activity. The more of it you do, the better. But if you're looking for results, then that will give you minimal results. So you got a difference between general activity and stuff good for your health, and you got stuff that's for your body for results. So for general health, more frequency, okay? In terms of for results, let's say if you want to lose fat or tone up or build muscle or improve athletic performance, it'll come down more so to the quality as opposed to the quantity. So let's say you're doing 30 minutes every day, very intense, giving it welly. That'll be probably better depending on the program design than if you did an hour every second day. Now, if you're doing, let's say if it's weights or bodybuilding or something, and you're doing split routine, splitting up all the muscles, you're probably better off you give it everything you can every second day on those muscles as opposed to doing something every day. Okay? Because that might be too much strain on the muscles. Like say for me, I do weight 6 days a week, right? But I do certain muscles every day. So my muscles are getting, 48 hours recovery. So whatever I do Monday, I'll be doing again Thursday. Okay? So it depends on how you design it, really. The most important thing for people is that you fit it into your lifestyle. So let's say some people 3 days a week, mentally even, is as much as they can manage. They might really, really want to do 6 days or 5 days because they feel it'll be better, know it'll be better, but they're not going to do it. Like realistically, they're just not going to do it. So they're better off to focus on three. That's why whenever anyone's starting off in anything, I always say to them, look, three workouts, even it's only 15 minutes. The reason is because three is manageable for anyone. It gives you 4 days where you don't have to do anything. And like I always say, three is what you have to do. It's non-negotiable, even if it's only for 15 minutes, especially starting off. If you do more, it's a bonus. And the thing is, if you get three and you've done that and you end up doing 4 or 5, you feel amazing. Whereas if you aim for 5 or 6 and you only get 3 or 4, you feel like crap. You feel like you're failing. When you still did 3 or 4, which is great. So again, like even there's a whole psychological element to the frequency that you're doing. So three is like your minimum always. The more you do, the better once the quality is there and the correct program is there. And then depending on what your result is that you're looking for. Okay. And again, I said it's quality, not quantity. So in a workout, you give it everything you can. You work out intensively, you aim to progress, you're constantly trying to change up the routines for muscle confusion. We're incorporating those three key strategies, get the most from your training. Okay. So 30 minutes. I hope that makes sense there and that. Like in terms of I'm saying, like it won't be the same, but again, it'll depend on what you're doing too. Working out every day would be too much. I would never recommend that working out every day. I'd say to people work out a max 6 days, but be active for 7 if you want. Remember, there's nothing wrong with being active. When I say working out, that's where you're working hard. You know, it's not just like going through the motions. It's not again just like going for a walk. Unless going for a walk is strenuous for you, because again, it all depends on what level you're at, fitness wise and strength and mobility and all. Let's say if going for a walk is handy, it's just nice. You have a very low heart rate and all. That's just activity. Don't see that as your workout. Okay. But in terms of a workout, only work out 6 days a week max. All right. It's like if someone wants to go for a hike on a Sunday, they've done their workouts, worked out hard in the gym, or if they've stuff at home or classes or whatever, personal trainers, Monday to Saturday, and on Sunday to go for a hike. Perfect. You know, go for a game of tennis, go for a cycle. Like they're not workouts. I wouldn't see them as workouts. It's recreation. It's doing stuff. Doesn't mean it's not something strenuous. Like doing a hike is fun. It's great, fresh air. Typically, you'll see great views, all that kind of stuff. And if you go with people, it can be, a nice social thing. And it'll be a little bit tiring, of course, but it's not again a workout. Workouts are different. Workouts are, you're more strategically exercising, get the most stimulation in that workout. When you go for a hike or play tennis or go for a cycle, you're not focused on stimulation, just focused on doing something. Okay? So nothing wrong with doing something 7 days a week, but only work out 6. Next one. This goes to the conversation I had with Bev earlier. Yeah, it was this morning, I think, which is her yesterday. Was in terms of we were speaking about a juicer. She just got a juicer, and I was kind of saying about better off doing smoothies, which she was. It wasn't a case of I didn't think she'd replace smoothies, but I was just trying to explain about the juicer. So they were just asking me here about explaining about juicer, why I don't like it, and explain more about it. But yeah, I didn't think you were replacing smoothies. I thought you were adding, all right, you're adding something. That's where what you said you are doing makes perfect sense. And that's fine and work away with that, okay? So juicing versus smoothies. So this ties into as well some things like, these group weight loss things like Slimming World, Weight Watchers, all this type of stuff. And there's lots of different ones around the world. So a lot of time they'll say that, some of them, especially it's Slimming World especially, don't have bananas in smoothies. They're very bad for you. They make the bananas really bad for you. Only eat them whole, okay? And they generally they're not fans of smoothies either. Now, let's just take the banana. So their argument is if you put in a blender, you're going to break it down and it's going to break down to sugars and it's going to be a sugar rush into your system and a massive insulin rise. And when your insulin levels are very erratic up and down, it promotes fat storage, okay? Now, what happens when you put a banana in your mouth? I don't mean the whole banana. You take a bite of a banana, okay? Although my son used to put whole bananas into his bloody mouth when he was about, honestly, I remember he used to be in the high chair. You nearly get a heart attack. I mean, sticking a whole banana in his mouth. What was he? Maybe 1 or something. And now he didn't choke. But I don't know, you think someone's going to rob it off him or what? But he would stick the whole banana in his mouth. But anyway, or not he. So you take a bite of a banana, right? Now, when you eat, you're ideally in an ideal world, you chew until whatever is in your mouth is liquefied. Okay, that's what you're supposed to. Now, because we live in such a fast-paced world, life is much faster. Everyone does everything faster, so people typically don't chew that much. And that's where a lot of indigestion and gut issues and all that come from. Like I would have had to work a lot, very hard for years and years and years, and I still need to slow down even more to slow down my eating. But it was because I was eating on the go. When I was like, especially when I had my gyms and PT studios and stuff, and I was working like 16 hours a day non-stop, I was eating on the go. So I'd be eating while I'm training clients, but I'd be eating fast and I'd be eating on the move and I'd be eating, unconsciously because I was just chucking the food in. So I was still talking to them and keeping them going, telling them what to do. So I was focused on them, but I was eating. So I was just chucking the stuff in. Okay. So I had to work very hard to slow myself down. But back to what I was saying there with the banana in the mouth. So you're chewing and chewing, chewing, liquefied, you swallow. Now, what is the difference between that and a blender? It's doing the exact same thing. Your mouth is a blender, your teeth is a blender. The only difference with an actual blender is a blender will, it'll break it down a bit more. It'll liquidify it more than your teeth will, no matter how much you chew. So when they say that, oh, you shouldn't eat bananas in a blender in a smoothie because it makes them terrible, that is so ridiculous a statement. Because then they should be saying, don't chew banana now either, just swallow it. Break into pieces, put it in your mouth and just swallow it. Don't let it touch your teeth. It's fucking stupid. But one thing I find with all these group things, and I have to say Slim World is actually one of the better ones overall. But what I have to say about all of them is they all seem to have a few things they say that are just like to just add them in because they have to have something that's different to everybody else. Or they have to have something they can say that is scientifically proven because maybe they have some doctor they got to endorse it or that they paid or sponsored or something. So they all have this kind of thing. It's like even Slim World says avocados, you shouldn't have them. They're too bad for you, too many calories. But you can eat other foods that are not actually proper foods at all. When an avocado is food, it's good fats, good proteins, it's really good for you, very good for your skin. And yes, it's high calorie, but that's because it's fat. Fat is more calories per gram than eighth of carb or protein. So that's just a fact. That's why you wouldn't eat like 5 avocados a day. There's no harm having an avocado every day. It'd actually be good for you. So with the blended smoothie thing, so that's just on that point in terms of when you hear that kind of stuff, just ignore it. It's rubbish. Okay. The thing with a smoothie is you're literally throwing all the food in as it is. Doesn't matter if it's oranges, apples, celery, spinach, whatever. So you're getting the entire thing. Remember I said about the orange even and the vitamin C and like isolating vitamins, but an orange has lots of vitamins and minerals, not just C. So when you chuck everything in the blender, you get all of it. But most important of all, you get the fiber. So fiber basically it's like what transports the nutrients in and it slows the release. So that's where when you hear people saying don't eat fruit, it's too high in sugar, it'll ruin your insulin levels, all that kind of stuff. It'll raise it higher than certain other carbs that are slow releasing, like let's say oats or wholemeal rice and things like that. It will raise it higher, yes, but not to a terrible level because the fiber will slowly release it out. Okay, and that's why it's so important to have the fibers. Either eat fruit and veg as it is, as whole, or like that chucked into a smoothie. You compare that into a juicer. What a juicer is, it's doing what it literally says. It's giving you the juice. So you juice anything, and you can juice anything. You get the juice out, but that's all you're getting. So you're getting all the vitamins and minerals, which is super important. Okay, that's the most important thing. But you're not getting any of the fiber. So when you drink that, it's going straight into your bloodstream because there's nothing to stop it, nothing to slow it down, which is what the fiber is doing with the smoothie side of things. It's straight into your bloodstream, so it's going to raise your insulin levels a lot. Now, it won't be the same now with veg, okay? Because veg doesn't really have much sugars or calories or nothing. It's more so specifically, I suppose, with the fruits more so. But it's like, I always compare it to like a heroin shot. It's like it's straight into the bloodstream. It impacts immediately. The insulin levels have to drop quickly. So they'll go up high, they'll drop. The body then looks for more because it wants to get back level again. You want to keep your insulin levels level. So it'll crave more. That's why if you have a juice, if that's all you had, you'd want to eat something again or drink something again within probably 20, 30 minutes. If you have a smoothie, that won't be the case. It'll be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours after, depending what's in your smoothie. same as if you ate whole food, because all a smoothie is whole food in liquid form. If you ate that food, you'd be full or satisfied as well. So that's the big difference between juicing and smoothies. So I always encourage people to have smoothies, not to do juices. But like say, like in Bev's case, there's certain things that her blender won't blend, so she's going to juice them. That's perfectly fine. She's going to still get the benefits. Like it's not about perfection. If you can't do perfection, let's call it, you do the next best thing. It's more important, like for Bev, to get certain nutrients out of certain foods rather than not eating them. So if having a juicer and juicing them is the ideal, perfect. Hope that makes sense. But where I would recommend juicing would be if someone's really, really ill, all that matters is getting the nutrients into them fast. That's a case where juices would be much better for someone really ill than smoothies, because it's not about their health. Smoothies more about getting their health slow releasing. It's about just get the bloody nutrients into them ASAP. It's like if someone has some serious accident, you need to get a drip on them to just try keep them alive. Same kind of idea. You just focus on helping them to survive, to then get the nutrients in. So that's where I would recommend juices. Even say if someone's really ill, like when someone's really sick, colds, flus, all that kind of stuff, I always say, smoothies, water for hydration, green tea, rest, all that kind of thing. If you're really, really ill, you could change those smoothies to juices just because you need to get the nutrients in. It doesn't matter damn about the insulin reaction, more about getting nutrients into you. Okay? So I hope that makes sense on that. So as I said, it's not that never to juice. There is definitely a role for it and a benefit to it. And it depends on the situation. But I hope that makes sense as to why smoothies are much better, in my opinion, anyway. And this last one then, and yeah, I was laughing at the end of what you said, Bev. So I'll read out what it says actually. But do cold houses affect your health? New Zealand houses are like sheds, no insulation, wake up most days with sore lungs and aches. Probably not your thing, houses. But yeah, I still can understand what's going on. So that's cool, Bev, in terms of the question. So that's strange that they're like that over there. So there isn't any insulation. When is there heating? Like, is there heating systems? I presume there must be, isn't there? Like radiators or something like that, something that give you heat if you need it. Like cold house, let's say cold houses are really damp, poorly insulated. Like you're saying there's no insulation. Let's say I'm just taking houses over here or very poorly built houses and so on. They're more likely to have like condensation, mold, that type of thing. So that stuff isn't going to be good for your health, but you're going to again be breathing that in. So if there's ever mold, if someone gets ill out of the blue, or like that chest infection a lot, or coughs a lot, or stuff like that, a lot of the time it's actually mold that's growing in the room. So again, it's like if that's happening, just check the room, see if you can find mold anywhere. Be up in the ceiling, around the windows, especially because there may not be proper again insulation with the windows. There might be little gaps or something like that. Depending again on the cold, the temperature. It's like again with condensation. Like if there's regular condensation all the time, that's going to lead to mold then as well. So what I'd be most concerned there, Bev, is like you're saying you wake up most days with like sore lungs and aches. That's not ideal, you know. So with that, depending on what, if you have heating or what you have, if there what radiators don't exist. Mad. And that's common, Bev, yeah. Like that's just how houses are. It's not just some houses, it's houses, yeah. That sounds kind of mad. So what you need to do is like, if you're actually cold, for instance, like make sure you're wrapped up warm enough. Like you should never be in bed and be roasting. Like in terms of from a sleep environment and sleep hygiene, as they call it, the things that help you to sleep and sleep better. Being too warm is never good, but being too cold is never good either. Like you want to be kind of cool. I don't know what the exact temperature is ideally, but you want to feel cool. You want to like need the quilt. Let's put it that way. But you're not frozen. Never want to be frozen. But yeah, it depends on the sore lungs and the aches, what's causing that. I'd look, if you're having sore lungs now, I'd look to see is there any mold around the place. Could be some mold you haven't even spotted, and that wouldn't be helping. That would definitely be leading towards things like sore throats. New houses, okay, but just pass the law that new houses have to have insulation. Okay, God, it's mad, isn't it? 2024, and that law only came in now. It's mad. But so 100% affects your health, no doubt about it. Like even you're saying there, like having sore lungs and aches and things like that. you know, that's not a good sign. It's good that and I bet you notice a big difference, now versus 6 months ago versus 12 months ago. I think you're in the same house. Now that you're taking much better care of your health, you're probably getting sick way less. You probably were getting sick a lot before, were you? Like even if it's just like a bit of a cold for a couple of days or a sore throat for a couple of days. Because like if that's your environment, it's going to have an impact on you. How do you say? My old house had rising damp, salt crystals leaching through the walls. It was awful. Couldn't use the living room from it. Had a spring under the house. Good ventilation needed. Yeah, like that. Like you would have had the health implications of it, because again, dampness and so on. That's not going to be good for your health. So I bet you feel a huge difference where you're now. Anyway, that's for sure. No damp, yes, no colds all this winter. Yes, remember excellent. So you had four flu. Like taking that means you were quite sick. So this is where again we still have control to a certain degree, even though you got that as that's a reality of the house as it is right now. But your control of your health and well-being is counteracting it. Now you still need to keep working on it to improve it further, especially like that if you're having sore throats, pains in your lungs, things like that, aches. So keep yourself warm is the main thing. I wouldn't be big into artificial heat and stuff, but maybe like there's I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah, just heaters, I suppose. Portable heaters and stuff like that. Like you might on days that are particularly cold, maybe something like that at night for even an hour or something might be no harm. But yeah, like no doubt cold houses are going to have an impact on your health. But how much of an impact will depend on what you're doing. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Just let me know on that, Bev, if it makes sense or not. So that's that. Any other questions you guys have? Questions, comments, any other topic you want me to quickly cover, anything like that, just pop into chat. And Bev, just let me know that made sense to you anyway, or if you need further elaboration. This new bungalow completely opposite is new build and so insulated, no heating needed, or just a ceramic heater. Yeah, it must be like my sister built a house there I think it's last year, maybe it's 2 years ago at this stage. Hard to know at this stage, time's so bloody fast. But yeah, there's no heating at all in the house. It's just constantly insulated. And it's that, what's it called, air to water or something? Some system like that. I don't know. It's all these new things. Like, it's great for insulation for sure. Like I'm sure you feel such a huge difference. And then that tying in again with you taking more and more control of your health as well. So an eco build. Okay, perfect. All right, Bev, great. So that made sense to you. Plug-in radiators, yeah. Again, I'm not a fan of artificial heat. I actually hate it. But like that, you need to do what you need to do sometimes. No point being frozen. Solar panels, okay, ideal. Electricity free during the day. Ideal. Because isn't it mad that we have all these bloody resources, like especially these countries like Ireland and England, where it rains a lot, so you've a load of water. It's beside the sea and the oceans. There's a load of, I don't know what you call that, water power or whatever you'd call it. So a load of power can be generated from that. We got constantly wind. So there's loads of wind. And so now they're starting to use these things as resources. And you got the sun with solar panels. Like there's no need for bloody electricity. We shouldn't need it all. It should be self-generating everything at this stage. Yeah, that's the only problem, Bev. You get too hot, them does blight things. That's where I don't like artificial heat. That's where, like, if it's particularly cold, probably wear more clothes because you can always take them off. Whereas like that, if it got hot, from the heating, it'll take a while for that to go back down. So maybe just concentrating, just wear more clothes. We need to wear more clothes. Electricity now is wind power. Brilliant. And that's the way it should be. It makes sense. Use the bloody resources that are there. I said there's a lot of power in the water, a lot of power in the wind. There's a lot of power from the sunlight. You've loads of rain, so there's loads of water. That's what makes me laugh. Whenever there's a bit of good weather and they be going on about drought warnings. It's fucking raining for 9 or 10 months of the year. How can it be a drought? Say enough water for forever, even from 1 year, I'd imagine, the amount of rain they get in Ireland anyway. I know certain parts of England are nearly as bad. But yeah, using natural resources makes sense. Just common sense, really. All right, guys, that makes sense. I've seen when no wind here, the wind towers didn't produce enough electricity in the whole city. Oh wow! So it's run on wind, yeah. It's brilliant that it's done like that, but that's the look. That's the drawback. That's the drawback. But I suppose that's where you need to have a backup, where you're getting power from something else, again, whether it be from the water or whatever, or again from the sun. There's enough in nature for us to generate everything. Just a case of having the systems in place. But again, where things come down to, like, that's all free resources because it's there in nature. All the companies, again, they're all industries, energy companies. Where are they going to make money then? For using nature instead. Yeah, you won't have any problem with it at the moment, so Bev. It'd be windy enough there for a while. All right, guys. So I hope that was beneficial. Hope it all made sense. A bit of a diverse range of questions. Thanks for sending the questions in. As always, keep in touch. Message me if you need me for anything. Keep taking action. And as I said at the very start, folks are making this a good week. Folks are making this a good month and a good end to the year. Folks, 3.5 months is what you got. Make it a really strong finish to the year, okay? All right, guys. Look forward to talking to you soon and keep taking action, okay? See you soon. Talk to you soon, guys.